on top of. Now for now, on this board, you see several different sky colors to choose from. You get to make your sky look how you want to. However, on the bottom of your plate, you have to paint in some hills. We're going to make like a hilly, beautiful, far-reaching, distant landscape. On the bottom, we have to begin by drawing some hill lines going all the way across the bottom of your plate. So to begin with, you have to do your name on the back of your plate and your teacher code, then turn to the front. Now I'm going to draw in a Sharpie marker, but you're going to use a pencil to make sure you don't make a mistake that can't be erased. I'm going to start one hill. It's going to come all the way from the very edge of my line, or my plate, and it's going to kind of dip downward. Then I'm going to touch this line, and I'm going all the way to the edge of the plate again. So right now I have two hills, one going behind the other one, and then I'll add one more hill going across the back. If you have some room and you want to add a couple more hills on there, you can, but for now I'm going to keep mine pretty simple. Now in order to paint our land at the bottom, you're going to get to mix your own colors of green. On your mixing plate, you'll have a puddle of white. It's kind of hard to see on my plate because my plate is white. You'll have a puddle of blue and a puddle of yellow. We're not going to stir all the colors together because then you'll only wind up with one color of green when we really want to have at least 3 different colors of green. When you're painting, you'll have your water cup full of water, some paintbrushes, and of course our old friend Dirty Old SpongeBob. When you take a wet paintbrush, you want to dry him on Dirty Old SpongeBob before you dip into your paint. Now to mix some colors of green, I'm going to first start with some yellow. I'm just going to scoop a little bit of yellow onto my brush. I think I'm going to start with this hill. I'm going to paint some yellow on there, then take a little touch of that blue and mix onto the plate. You can see immediately that becomes a nice color of green. I'm going to paint all the way to the edge, so I ran out of paint on my brush. Some yellow to kind of fill in those spaces, all the way to the edge, and then a little touch of blue to mix into the yellow, kind of stirring it together as I go and getting into those little white spaces.
Teachers, please for these students, Resource Center to the gym. Resource Center.
Alright, sorry that got interrupted by the bus being called or resource being called. So you want to make sure you're not leaving any white spaces in your painting. It's okay for it to look, uh-oh, it's not recording. Hello? Oh, yeah, well, you should be. But why aren't you showing up? That's crazy. Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Okay, sorry. I'm still learning how to use that technology. You want to paint it to where you don't see any white spaces left. Now I'm about to choose another space to paint. I think I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to do it a little bit darker, which means I'm going to use more blue this time as I'm painting so it looks different than the first section that I painted. So I'm brushing that yellow in first. And then this time I'm going to use bigger dips of blue and mix that together. And see, that's going to be a darker shade or a darker hue than the first one, so it will stand out, filling in those white spaces as I go. Now this very back space, the one that's left over, this time I'm going to mix in just a touch of white as I paint. So it kind of lightens it up and makes it look a little bit farther away. So I'm going to take the green that's on my brush and I'm going to do just a little dip of white and mix that together. Maybe a little bit of yellow too. And you'll see it becomes like a mint chocolate chip green. Filling in those white spaces. Keeping it nice and smooth as I go. Now if I mix a color that I don't like and I need to change colors on my brush, all I have to do is rinse in the water cup, dry on dirty old SpongeBob, and go from there. So I'm going to take a minute and smooth these hills out a little bit. And make sure that it goes all the way to the edge. Oh, okay, now I can start on the sky. So for your sky, I hope I've already shown you some beautiful pictures, but I'm going to choose some sunset colors, which are going to be warm colors. And of course, a clean, dry paintbrush. Don't dip a wet, ooky paintbrush to paint onto your picture because you're going to be really disappointed. So I think I'm going to paint a sunset on here. I'm going to dip my brush.
Teachers, please release students.
Okay, sorry. Trying to do this in between watching Bus Kids and my planning time. Okay, so I'm going to take a sunset color, like a yellow. Trying not to get into that green and also smoothing as I go. Now I actually got a little spot of blue back there, but I'm not going to panic about it. I'm just going to keep on grooving as I paint my sunset. Changing colors, so I'm rinsing in my water, drying on dirty old SpongeBob, and keeping on going. I think I'm going to do some orange around the outside of that. You also have white on your plate from when you mixed your hill colors. If you would like to, you can paint clouds onto your sky, but do that after you have filled your sky with color. If you do it before you finish, then your clouds are going to disappear. I don't want that to happen. Rinsing and drying as I change colors. Little tiny little dips of paint. I think do that. Okay, I'm going to pause the video so I can finish painting in my sky, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I painted in the sky up above, and then I had a little extra time. So I dotted in some little flowers in my fields, like little flowers growing like wildflowers. Now I got to figure out how to fix that little blue spot, but I also want to add in some clouds so you can see those. So I'm starting with a very clean, very dry brush, and then dipping in the white, and that's where I can kind of come back on top and fill in some clouds. If my sky color shows underneath the cloud, that's okay. Because some clouds are kind of see-through. I'm going to do some littles and some bigs, just make them kind of fluffy back there. Actually, that kind of covered over my little blue mark, didn't it? Maybe one going off the edge there. Again, I'm not having to rinse and dry my brush because I'm only dipping one color. Looks pretty good. And make it go all the way off this side there. That's pretty cute. I kind of like that. And then I was going to just take a clean, dry little brush and do some birds flying over to fix that little blue spot. But of course, you make this look how you want it to look. If you don't want birds, you don't have to do them. Maybe a little baby bird there. Anyway, so my landscape is painted. I've got green hills on the bottom, a sky, some clouds, and even some flowers and birds. I can't wait to see what you come up with on your landscape. Good luck painting.